Hey there, here's our video on page 14 of our first quarantine packet. So I just thought I'd come on and remind you about inequalities. So up at the top, I wrote them out for you. So if you have the ones that look just like this with no lines underneath them, less than or greater than, those are going to be your open circles when you graph them. If they have that line underneath, that means you have to fill them in. And then I told you which way to shade, and that's for when we get to a few pages later on. Remember that my hint was always right that the variable is on the left before graphing. Just like this, right there, that's what I'm talking about. And that if you have an interval notation was the one that we either used those parentheses or we had the brackets, and the parentheses were when you had one that didn't have the line underneath there, so it was just less than or greater than, and they were open circles. And then if they have the brackets, then that was where they were closed circles, all right? So they had the line underneath, so it's less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So when we do these, I'm just gonna do the first one. I'll actually do the second one for you because there's something tricky in that one. So if we look at the second one, I'm going to try to get x by itself and just kind of pretend that that greater than symbol in there is an equals just right now. So when I do that, I have negative 5x is greater than 10. So it looks like this. And then I'm going to divide through by a negative 5. When I do that, I should stop right here and say, okay, wait a minute, there's something special. When I divide through by a negative, you have to remember that you have to flip-flop that inequality sign. So it was greater than, and now I need a less than. So my answer for this one should look like this. And then when I go to graph it on the line, I'm going to put my negative 2 in the middle. And because I have my x, my variable, on the left-hand side, I can shade the same way that my inequality is pointing. So because this says less than, all the ones that are less than are to the left, and so that's how I'm going to graph it. And it looks just like this. If I'm going to do my set, if you remember me struggling with my squiggle, set and squiggle go together, and we would say x reals, and use that straight line to say such as, and then I'm just going to plug in that x less than negative 2. And there are my awful squiggles. No laughing. And then my interval, so remember at the top when we would do these, we would write in the negative infinity and the positive infinity. That's to remind ourselves when we do interval notation. So I'm going to put this in the correct order, and I'm going to make sure that I say that I'm going from the negative infinity to the negative 2. And always when I have an infinity sign, those are open, and so is negative 2. All right, so let's have you finish this page. All right, if you want me to check it out, send me a picture of it, and try the rest of them. I think, if you remember down for numbers 3 and 4, because those are in the middle of two symbols down there, remember you need to move them to both of them. So I'll just start number 5 for you. If I'm going to add, I have to add the 3. And when I add the 3, if you can see that, I take it away. I'm adding because I was subtracting, and now I'm going to do the opposite of addition. But when I do that, I'm going to add it on this side and add it on this side. I can't leave anybody out, which leaves me with my x in the middle, because when we're doing these, we're always trying to just get x alone, okay? So keep going with that one, and let me see how you're doing in a little bit. Thanks.